The world is caught in a whirlwind of crises, the likes of which we've never seen before. All across the globe, we see different crises happening at the same time, each one making the others even worse. From the battlefields of Ukraine to the economic worries in the West, made worse by rising prices and job losses, from the mass displacement of refugees crossing the Mediterranean Sea in overcrowded boats, to the simmering tensions in the Middle East that keep flaring up. These interconnected challenges are threatening global stability and demanding that the international community find solutions. In this essay, we're going to examine the most critical crises facing the world today. We'll discuss their causes, consequences, and possible solutions. We'll delve deep into the complex connections that link these crises together. The war in Ukraine has sent shockwaves through the international system, ending decades of relative peace in Europe. The impacts of this conflict are far-reaching, affecting not just the immediate region. Economic turmoil, fueled by inflation, energy shortages, and supply chain disruptions, has gripped both developed and developing countries. These economic challenges are leading to social unrest and political instability. The global migration crisis has reached staggering proportions. Millions of people have been displaced by conflicts, persecution, and climate change. These individuals are searching for safety and a better life, often under extremely dangerous conditions. And in the Middle East, long-standing conflicts continue to simmer, posing a persistent threat to regional and global security. These conflicts have deep historical roots and are often very difficult to resolve. These crises are not isolated events. They are interconnected, with one crisis feeding into another in a vicious cycle. One problem can easily worsen another, creating a chain reaction. For instance, the war in Ukraine has disrupted global energy markets, contributed to economic hardship, and fueled inflation. This, in turn, has increased the cost of living worldwide, leading to protests and unrest. This, in turn, can exacerbate social unrest and political instability, potentially leading to further conflict and displacement. The spiral of instability continues, demanding urgent action. Understanding the connections between these crises is crucial for finding effective solutions. Only through a deep understanding of the causes and effects can we develop sustainable strategies. In this essay, we will delve into each crisis individually, examining its causes, impacts, and potential solutions. We will analyze the complex dynamics driving these crises. By shedding light on these complex challenges, we can begin to chart a path toward a more stable and prosperous future. It is our hope that through collective action and understanding, a better world is possible. The Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 marked a turning point in international relations. It was an event that shocked the world and forced the global community to re-evaluate its priorities and strategies. It shattered the post-World War II European security architecture, triggered a devastating humanitarian crisis, and heightened geopolitical tensions worldwide. The repercussions were felt immediately, not just in Europe but across the globe. The war has had a profound impact on Ukraine and its people. Families have been torn apart, and daily life has become a constant struggle for survival. Cities have been reduced to rubble, millions of people have been displaced, and thousands of civilians have lost their lives. Humanitarian aid has been slow to arrive, and the suffering of the people is immeasurable.
The conflict has also had far-reaching geopolitical consequences. International relations have been put to a severe test, and old alliances have been reassessed. It has strengthened NATO, uniting Western powers against Russia and fueling fears of a new Cold War. Military exercises and diplomatic efforts have intensified to prevent escalation. The war has also exposed the fragility of the rules-based international order. The United Nations and other international institutions have faced enormous challenges. Russia's blatant violation of international law and its disregard for Ukrainian sovereignty have shaken the foundations of global governance. The international community has been left grappling with how to respond to such aggression. The conflict has also highlighted the challenges of managing such crises in a multipolar world, where power is more diffuse and consensus is harder to achieve. The world faces the task of finding new ways of cooperation and conflict resolution to prevent future crises.
The global economy is facing a perfect storm of challenges. including soaring inflation, energy shortages, supply chain disruptions, and the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. These factors combined have created a climate of economic uncertainty and hardship, particularly in the West.
Inflation has reached levels not seen in decades. It's being driven by a combination of supply chain bottlenecks, rising energy costs, and strong consumer demand. Central banks around the world have responded by raising interest rates, but this carries the risk of triggering a recession. The energy crisis, exacerbated by the war in Ukraine, has led to skyrocketing energy prices, putting a strain on households and businesses alike.
Supply chain disruptions caused by a combination of the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and geopolitical tensions have led to shortages of essential goods and contributed to inflation. These economic challenges are disproportionately impacting low-income households who are struggling to cope with the rising cost of living.
The world is witnessing an unprecedented migration crisis. More people than ever before have been displaced from their homes due to conflict, persecution, climate change, and economic hardship. This crisis affects people from all corners of the globe, regardless of their background or social status. The reasons behind this mass migration are diverse and complex, requiring a deep understanding and a coordinated international response.
The United Nations estimates that over 100 million people were forcibly displaced worldwide in 2022, the highest number ever recorded. These individuals have often lost everything and rely on humanitarian aid for survival. The UN and other aid organizations are working tirelessly to provide these people with protection and support, but the challenges are enormous.
The war in Ukraine has internally displaced millions within Ukraine and forced millions more to flee to neighboring countries, creating the largest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. This crisis has posed significant challenges, not only for those directly affected, but also for the host communities. The solidarity and support shown by many countries have been remarkable, but the strain is evident.
Ongoing conflicts in Syria, Yemen, and other parts of the world continue to drive displacement, while climate change is increasingly leading to the displacement of populations in vulnerable regions. Natural disasters such as floods, droughts, and storms are forcing more and more people to leave their homes. These individuals often face an uncertain future and are in dire need of support.
This surge in migration has put a significant strain on host countries, particularly in Europe and the United States. The infrastructure and social services of these countries are being stretched thin, and there are often not enough resources to meet everyone's needs. This has led to tensions and conflicts within societies.
It has also fueled political polarization, as some exploit anti-immigrant sentiment for political gain. This division can make it more difficult to find solutions and further exacerbate the situation. It is crucial for political leaders to act responsibly and advocate for humane and sustainable solutions.
Addressing the root causes of displacement, such as conflict, persecution, and climate change, is crucial for resolving the global migration crisis. International cooperation and solidarity are essential to find lasting solutions and provide those affected with a safe and stable future. Only through collective efforts can we overcome this challenge and create a more just world. The Middle East remains a region plagued by conflict and instability. Long-standing tensions continue to simmer, and new challenges are emerging.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains unresolved despite decades of diplomacy, with periodic outbreaks of violence.
Tensions between Iran and Israel have also escalated in recent years, fueled by Iran's nuclear program and Tehran's support for groups in the region.
The ongoing civil war in Yemen has created a humanitarian catastrophe, while the rise of extremist groups like ISIS continues to pose a threat to regional and global security.
The complex interplay of political, religious, and geopolitical factors in the Middle East makes it extremely challenging to find lasting solutions to these conflicts.
However, addressing the root causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and political oppression, is essential to achieving lasting peace and stability in the region.